Okay, so I've got this. This is the start of a character I'm gonna unwrap and model, just so you guys can see. I've got this character I'm doing, and I'm gonna just start to unwrap it. I'm gonna start to unwrap his legs and his waist, and this same process follows through the entire character, his arms, his chest, his body. It's all about where you want the seams. In a case like this, I'm going to do a panels, layouts, two pane or saved layouts, perspective, and UV editor. So the first thing I'm going to want to do is go here, and I'm going to start to just select the rest of his leg. Shift I just to make sure, and I've got everything I want there. So assign new material, that's weird, or assign existing material. So I got this weird, since we're talking about unwrapping and materials and texturing, I've got this weird error that just magically appeared. And what this is generally is, to fix it, in Maya 2015 this would be a dark green. It didn't happen like this, and it didn't happen as often as that I can remember, because I've seen it happen a lot more. At least I was using Maya for Windows 2015, and I've seen this happen quite often in 2016. Just magically green faces start to appear. In the old one it was a darker green, and this one it's a neon green. And what that is it doesn't know. I believe this is what's happening in the new version, or at least for the Maya for Macintosh 2016, the newest version available at the moment. Is this neon green is telling you that there is no material assigned to these faces, which is really strange. But not really in the fact of how I built it, because what I did was I started with a cylinder, and I started here and moved all the way down, flipped it, and then I have these. So all of this was just an actual mesh. These greens, and this I started with a cylinder and just 8 sides. This was all extruded and not beveled, bridged together. So I extruded out some of these faces, while others I bridged from one part to the other. And what I think happened was, when I did that, it didn't assign the same exact material, Lambert 1, to these extruded faces and bridged faces. So it makes it this neon green, letting you know that these faces no longer have a material attached to it. So generally what you do is you do assign existing and do a Lambert, and it'll reappear just as gray. So that's all that is. And in 2015 it was a darker green, like a really dark green, like a forest green or something like that. Whereas this is a really bright neon green. Okay, so from here I can begin to select these faces, now that I've fixed the green non-material faces. Select all these faces, and I'm just going to do a, under modeling tab here, under UV, cylindrical. At this point I want my seam to run on the inside of the leg, because it'll probably be the most unseen part of the entire body. I'm not too worried about texturing seams, but it is a great idea to get this going the right way. Now with this particular one I'm going to rotate it at 90, because I want the seam to be projected on the inside of the leg. So I want that seam to be in here. And the other thing is, since it's on a slight angle in this case, just try that one more time. If you notice, my projection just disappeared. Okay, so And on this particular part, just because it's on this angle, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to rotate it at 15 degrees here. Generally what happens if you try to do these manually using the middle mouse button click, if I click on here and use the middle mouse button click, it'll disappear here and you'll only be able to see it here, but you will not see this projection anymore. And it's kind of useful to be able to see it. Other things to do are, now that I've got this unwrapped, it's still kind of, it's starting to be unwrapped. It's still difficult to see because I need to turn on this blue. It's called toggle shaded UV display, and that allows me to see the seam. So it shows the seam right here around the leg. It doesn't show it down there, down the leg. So what we got to do from here, I'm going to grab my Move UV Shell tool, select it, and I'm going to move it out of the way. Now the other thing I'm going to do is, right away, easiest way to go about doing this is I'm going to go to my edge, right down the middle, select it, do a, in here, polygons, cut UV edges. So what I've just done is I've cut this seam down this leg where I want it. I'm going to select here, and I've already got the seam made, so now the next thing I need to do is go to Tool and go to Smooth UV Tool. In 2015 this tool used to be located right here. They got rid of it. I don't know why. I really liked it there. It worked really well there, but now it's just gone. And I'm just going to start to unfold it and unfold it and unfold it, and I should start to get something that looks like this. I'll relax it slightly, and now I'll try to see if I can get that edge to be fixed, but it doesn't seem like it's going to cooperate to get it way over here. But I'm pleased with this result so far. So what this is telling me, I already know my seam is running down right down this edge. What this is telling me is, in here, if you notice, I'm highlighting in my perspective view, and it's highlighting over here in my UV editor view. I'm going to go ahead and start selecting down the leg, and you'll see these edges start to highlight as I click. And from here, I'm going to go polygons, move, and sew. It's going to be kind of awkward at first, and this, what the red means is that the normals are facing the right way. Red means that in the UV editor, red means that these UVs are flipped, and if you get like a purple-esque kind of color like this is actually red, bright red means completely flipped. When it's like this, it means there's a flipped UV overlapping on a normal UV. So from this point, I'm going to go Tool, Smooth. I'm going to make sure I have my UV shell selected with my Move UV Shell tool. Go to Tool, Smooth UV Tool, unfold, and you see I start to get this really, really clean and nice unwrap. So from here, I've got one leg done. I'm going to go ahead, I'll do the other one, same exact way. And up to this point. And from here, I'm going to do the same thing. UV, cylindrical. In this case, I'm going to go at -90 on my y-axis, and this will probably be -15, and there we go. Now I've got the same exact result as before. Slide it over. Tool. Oh well, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut my UV edge right down the center. Polygons, cut UV edges, select the shell, Tool, Smooth UV tool, unfold it, unfold it, unfold it, unfold it, and this one turned out pretty decent. Right here, Tool, Smooth UV tool. So it unfolded slightly different, but I'm going to move this over here and just show you. It's the piece that belongs here. It's sort of like a puzzle. Now, in here, I'm going to just go ahead and highlight the edges that I need. Polygons, move and sew UV edges, and then one last time use the smooth UV and just make sure you get it all smoothed out as best as possible and unfolded. Okay, so here's this one. Where'd my other UV go? I don't know what happened to it, but I'm going to go polygons layout for now. Strange. That's weird. That's new, and I don't know what happened there. I'm just going to unwrap it really quickly again. UV, cylindrical, strange. 90 and negative, in this case 15. Select it. So this can show you again how to do it. From here, run a edge, polygons, cut UV edges. Use the movie shell tool, smooth UV, unfold, and it's unfolding just as before. And you can unfold it as much as you want. Now, as much as it will let you. Now what I'm going to do is select the edges, and you'll see them highlight over here. I want this edge, because you see this edge and this edge are highlighting one another. That means they're the same edge, and I can move and sew them very easily. So, just going to continue down this line, following down here. And that looks good. Polygons, move and sew. Same exact thing happened as before. Tool, smooth UV tool. Go ahead, unfold it. Okay, so there's that. Now one last thing. If I were to unwrap my entire character, I'd do this the same exact way for the arms, hands, fingers, pretty much the entire character. What I'm going to do is assign new material. I'll make it a Lambert, and go to Lambert 2, and I'm going to assign a checker. Hit 6, and now you'll see that it's starting to, you'll see the seam running down right here. And the last thing I need to do, what happened here, is unwrap this section, and I'll run a UV cylindrical, and this is all really just how you want it to be portrayed on where you want your seams. But for this demo, I'm just going to do it this way. And I'm going to make my seam here same as my other legs, and go polygons, cut UV edges. Select the shell, tool, smooth UV tool, unfold, and let's see, I would like this entire thing to sort of For now, I'm going to do a polygons cut UV edges and see what happens. Tool, smooth UV tool, unfold, and there we go. And I'm just going to re-sew these now. Move and sew, select those edges, because I only wanted the seam to be right there. Select it again, tool, and that's all a matter of choice of where you would like it. And you'll see it starts to unwrap really nicely. Okay, now, cool little shortcut is I can highlight all of my objects up to this point, and I can actually just run and unfold at this point. And what it does is it unfolds everything at its maximum capacity. Sometimes it works really well, sometimes it doesn't. In this case, it looks like it did pretty well. I'm going to run a scale on it, and I just want you to see that the checkerboards over here, all the checkers should be practically all the same exact size, and it looks like they are. And if you can always manually change things too. And in this case, I didn't like what was going on here and here, so I'm just going to unfold those again manually, or I could just undo it, what I did earlier, which might be. Let's take a look. So I like how I have the way it is right here, like this. I think it became a little stretched and distorted, and that's what these checkers are for. But in order to get everything to work out again, to get everything to fit correctly, you just need to scale everything to make sure that those are all practically the same as well. The unfold tool is super useful, but it can be wonky sometimes where everything just becomes invisible, and it's because it becomes unfolded all along like these corner edge lines, and nothing's in the actual. It's all inside the square technically, but you can't see any of the unwrap because it's basically becomes all one flat line where that green and red and blue lines are right here along the edges. So in that case, it doesn't always work, so I show this way, but for the most part it works pretty well. And if I were to scale large, for the most part they're pretty good. These probably aren't even that distorted, a little bit, but you could again fix that using the smooth UV tool, and it starts to fix that a little bit. And then again, it should all be good. And just so you can see the cubes, there you go. That's the basics of unwrapping. I only did the lower half. I was just showing a basic demo on how to do it. It should look something like this. Your seam should be running down the side on the inside of the leg. That's a common area. You could also have it running down the outside on the waist or something, but that's all a matter of choice of where you want your seams to be. But for the most part, that's a really great start on an unwrap. Whoa. So we went over some moving and sewing seams. We went over cutting UV edges, where the seams could be, unfolding, the smooth UV tool, the move UV shell tool, cylindrical unwrap. Yeah, and then I would go ahead and start texturing this in Photoshop with all of my cubes, or all my cubes, all my shell. My entire shell would be inside the UV editor. would be inside of this cube where my texture is, as you can see at the moment, my current texture anyway. So you would put all of your objects inside here. And that's all I got for really the basics of unwrapping a character art for first little demo. But have at it, have fun, and hope you enjoyed.